If America loves democracy so much, why don't we have democracy in the workplace? Like, we love freedom, but when we go into work, we just start taking orders from someone, no questions asked. How about the workers choose their managers rather than the other way around? How about when management is coming up with policies that directly affect the worker, why don't the workers have a say in creating those policies?
So there's many reasons why this is...
Okay, so the first guy is classic. This is like, first guy is a Richard Wolf Andy. Okay, I already know. Of course, I don't personally disagree with that take. I agree with it. Let's see what he has to say, though. This guy looks like he's about to intellectually dismantle him, okay?
This is incredibly stupid. First of all, logically, just because something affects you doesn't mean you should have a say in it. If 50 people...
Wait, what? Just because logically? Bro, you can't just say logically and then say whatever the fuck you want after it, and then people will be like, well, that guy's logical. See? Logically, unicorns should exist, just like the free market. It does. Oh my god, he has his IQ. Oh no. Oh no! Motherfuckers like this who think they're gonna thrive in an Ancapistan type civilization, who think that, like, you know, they're gonna logic their way into like owning a factory or whatever. No, dude. No, bitch. If you're not thriving in this situation, you're not thriving in that one. Okay?
People walk into my home now just because they're going to be affected by the conditions of my house. That does not mean that they get a say in what I do. It is...
Wait, what? No, they absolutely do get a fucking... That's literally not true. That's why there's like zoning restrictions and like, for example, if you have your friends that come over to your house and they have children and they fall into your fucking pool and die, like, you're absolutely liable for that, for not putting up a fucking pool gate. Okay, so that's not even true. Okay, let's keep going.
Still my property, and you are the ones choosing to come into my property. As far as democracy itself, democracy is a terrible system. I highly recommend reading Democracy, the God That Failed by Hans Hermann Hoppe, or The Myth of the Rational Voter by Brian Kaplan. Incorporating democracy into the work...
At least the ANCAP is, like, you know, doing the reporting. Like, he basically is like, yeah, this doesn't work. Like, this doesn't, democracy is a failure. Like, he's doing the, I am an anarcho-capitalist, and of course, because of that, I am a fascist.
Workplace is something that has been tried many, many times. A democratized workplace is called a worker cooperative. A democratized workplace is called a worker cooperative. Yugoslavia actually once had a system entirely made up of worker cooperatives. And this is a great paper from the London School of Economics analyzing.
Oh, I wonder what the London School of Economics had to say about fucking Yugoslavia, dude. Let's see.
This worker cooperative system in Yugoslavia increased unemployment, decreased job finding rates, even increased the natural rate of unemployment. At one point, more than 20% of the workforce was working in other countries because they couldn't find jobs.
Definitely better now. I'm glad that system, you know, that system failed so disastrously that it's now excellent now.
In Yugoslavia, the authors pointed out there was
much better, much better. I know I say no Balkan talk, but come on. Okay, come the fuck on, dude.
External and internal factors, but one of the major internal factors was distorted labor incentives. If your workplace is a democracy and not a meritocracy, you do not have incentives to perform better. Then we've got this paper from the National...
You don't have... Okay, perform better by what metric, dude? By what metric? We never have this conversation. Every time people talk about efficiency, they're talking about efficiency from a capitalist point of view. And yes, if you look at efficiency from a capitalist point of view, obviously, other kinds of organizations are probably not going to look like they're performing better. You have to look at the different kinds of metrics that help, like turnover rate, the workplace conditions, the happiness metrics, even though they're very qualitative and difficult to fucking fully comprehend. You have to look at whether a system that is designed to benefit the many rather than the few is doing a good job of exacting that. Okay, what it set out to do. Also, he said meritocracy is real, which is why I laugh. Obviously, it's not fucking real. Meritocracy is a lie. I'm a dumbass. Look at the amount of success I have. It's so stupid. It's just a way for dummies to make themselves feel better, okay? But when you're this guy, when you're fucking Prax Ben, you're just bootlicking, okay? An anarchist, a Hoppian, neo-reactionary.
Was distorted labor incentives. If your workplace is a democracy and not a meritocracy, you do not...
If your workplace is a democracy, you have distorted labor, you have distorted labor incentives, dude. Yeah, like what? Fucking better workplace conditions? Like having better benefits, time off? I mean, even if we're not talking about a cooperative, you can literally take this exact same fucking argument and compare it to countries with higher rates of unionization versus countries with lower rates of unionization. Because a cooperative ultimately is enacting the interests of the many, allowing workers to have a say in the process, allowing workers to have a say in how much of the profits go back to them versus how much of the profits actually go to, like, I don't know, marketing and shit like that. Okay? At its most reductive, take, that's what this does. Okay? Turning a workplace, which is an authoritarian style of governance, into something that's closer to a democracy. If you look at countries with higher unionization rates, their workers have significantly better benefits, and their workers are significantly happier.
And internal factors. So one of the major internal factors was distorted labor incentives. If your workplace is a democracy and not a meritocracy, you do not have incentives to perform better. Then we've got this paper from the National...
Perform better for who? Perform better for your boss? Amazon has incredible workplace... Amazon is a great example of this, okay? Great example of this. Their efficiency is through the fucking roof, dude. But workers are pissing in bottles. Their efficiency is through the roof, but they have to have an ambulance outside of the fucking distribution center because it's a lot cheaper to fucking, you know, send that ambulance back and forth to the hospital than to actually pay for the fucking AC. They're performing really well, though. The efficiency is high. Is that good? No. I feel like maybe there should be a better balance here. If only there was a way to have a say, to have a seat at the table. I'm not saying that the end all be all is cooperative corporations, okay? I don't think that like everything should be a co-op, okay? I'm not one of those individuals. But it's a good start. A lot better than fucking having an authoritarian, an arguably authoritarian way of organizing your workplace, which is what we exist under currently.
Bureau of Economic Research. It's one of the most major peer-reviewed economic journals in the world. When labor has a voice in corporate governance. Our empirical findings reveal that long-standing labor voice in corporate governance is associated with significantly depressed shareholder value, sale growth, and job creation.
No way, dude! No way! Are you telling me that shareholder value diminishes when workers have a say, dude? What? Fuck! That's it. That's it, bro. Yeah, that's the point, idiot. Of course. Of course shareholder value is going to decrease. Because that means that that fucking place is redistributing profits, which is the surplus labor value extracted from the worker, in a better, more meaningful capacity back to the fucking workers that are generating it. And therefore, yes, shareholder values are decreasing. Now, this isn't just me who recognizes this, okay? You don't have to be a fucking commie or whatever the fuck to notice this. CEOs notice it too. After all, that's precisely why all the fucking Forbes, the Fortune 500 top CEOs got together and wrote a letter to say, we need to shift our focuses away. We need to shift our priorities away from increasing and improving shareholder value to increasing and improving stakeholder value, which also features community, which is like, you know, whatever, symbolic bullshit, and also our workers. So they realize it too. They realize that wealth and income disparity and inequality has gotten to a point where workers are fucking like, this sucks. This fucking sucks.
There is an avoidance in certain types of investment, capital expenditure, R&D spending, and high-risk investments in general. The thing is, the average person isn't willing to make high-risk investments. So when you democratize the workplace, that's going to be reflected in the decision.
No way, that's terrible.
Have
that's terrible, dude. What? No high-risk investments? What the fuck, dude? That sucks. Bro, this motherfucker's literally saying, when workers have a say in the seat of the table on what to do with the profits that they generate through their labor, okay? If workers have a say in what to do with the profits of the company, they end up saying, hey, maybe we should spend some of that we generated back on ourselves. Prioritizing safety and workplace conditions and better benefits for the workers that ultimately generate the profits regardless and create all the value is the appropriate way to go forward. It might not be the most efficient way from a capitalist mode of production standpoint, but it's still the right thing to do. It's the fair, more importantly than that, it's the fair thing to do.
higher time preference, and capitalists generally have a lower time preference. So owners are willing to make these high-risk investments that will bring in high rewards down the road. This results in more growth and job creation.
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah. Owners wanting to improve shareholder value, okay? And boards and corporations wanting to consistently grow and consistently increase shareholder value has been great for the American working class. Oh my God, so good. That's why, when you go to Syracuse, for example, it's a wonderful, robust city that still has a blossoming economy. Or when you go to anywhere in the fucking Rust Belt, go to West Virginia, for example. Oh man, owners creating so many more fucking jobs out there. It's sick. It's sick. Oh wait, that didn't happen because they fucking moved manufacturing overseas. So no, that isn't happening because they wanted to improve their margins. They wanted to increase shareholder value. And that's precisely what happened. Look at Detroit. Everywhere else, everywhere in the wealthiest nation on earth, we have fucking ghost towns. Okay? We have been prioritizing the interests of the wealthy that never even step foot in the fucking factory floor. Okay? And that could be all of you and even myself in some meaningful capacity because this is just a financialized economy. There's nothing else to do. If you want to even have a nest egg, if you don't want to work for the rest of your fucking life, you have to get a 401k, for example, because we don't even have social safety nets. We don't even have adequate social safety nets for people who are no longer productive laborers, okay? In that system, we prioritize people that are putting money into the stock market rather than people who are actually doing the productive labor. It's hilarious. He's basically arguing that worker co-ops are bad because they don't do capitalism as well. Such an inherent bias from the super rational objective, dude. That's precisely what he's doing here.
In this literature review, the findings were still consistent. They found that worker cooperatives tended to have lower pay, and worker cooperatives were constrained by financial difficulties, management inexperience, and interpersonal rivalry.
The journals he's citing are looking at socialized workplaces from a capitalist mode of production standpoint. So, of course, the metrics that they've designed the game for are going to be for capitalist metrics. But not only that, but also the last thing I was going to say is like, there aren't that many worker cooperatives. The idea that they're getting paid lower wages is a falsehood, okay? Even unions, which are more or less an entry point, okay? Unions, and there is a million different kinds of empirical studies conducted on this, universally increase your wages. Unions not only increase the wages and also improve the workplace benefits for all the workers that are recently unionized or unionized in general, but they also tend to have a 10% boost on wages across the board in that similar sector. Okay, so this idea that unions or more democracy in the workplace is a burden on people's wages, and it actually is a depressive. It works in a depressive capacity is completely false. Completely false. Okay.
And worker cooperatives made a modest, if any, contribution to the creation of new and good jobs. Making decisions in workplaces should be based off of meritocracy, not democracy.
The only way that like wages could decrease technically in a more democratized workplace would be if the CEO wages and the upper level management wages are lowered because, that's what they voted on.
Democracy doesn't work. Look at our last two presidents, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You really want to bring that kind of decision-making to the workplace?
Why is an anarcho-capitalist claiming that democracy doesn't work? This is you're so pro-capitalist that there's no anarcho left in it, which is, of course, anarcho-capitalism is oxymoronic regardless. Anarchism and capitalism clearly do not work because there's no voluntary cooperative fucking way of working in a capitalist workplace. He's literally also making an argument entirely on the side of authoritarianism and fascism,
where it suddenly becomes a popularity contest instead of someone who's good at investment, good at business, and has
popularity contest versus someone who's good at investment and good at business. Again, throwing idiotic fucking terms in there that make no sense whatsoever. Someone who's good at investment. Someone who's good at investment is just someone who has a lot of fucking capital, brother. Okay? Someone who has a lot of fucking capital can be good at investment. How? They put $10,000 into every single fucking VC, every single startup that they can with the hopes that there's going to be a fucking whale in there. Gary Vaynerchuk is a good at investment Andy. Okay? Even fucking Warren Buffett, who is one of the most prolific and best investors in the fucking game, has openly talked about how no hedge fund, not a single hedge fund, could beat the market over, 2 decades or over a single decade, because they just can't. You can have good returns on a single year, and then you can fucking have major losses in another.